One of the main reasons that actually attracted me to this industry was about working with myself, working for myself in order for me to learn to deal better with life, to learn to cope with what was coming my way. And one of these things was dating. Yeah, I used to struggle with dating a lot, and it was about I was just not being myself. It was something that I wanted to happen in my life, but I just could not work it out because every time I walked into that situation or liked someone, fancied someone, or wanted to be with someone, actually everything that was wrong would show up. I would be operating out of fear. And this is where a lot of the limiting and irrational beliefs were playing out. And this is why I'm using this as an example. So in my mind, if you ask me directly and consciously whether I was aware of what was going on, I would tell you, no, everything is good. Things are good. I just don't know how to manage. I don't know how to cope. I had a friend and he asked me, he said, you're probably just afraid of being rejected. I completely denied it. I was like, there's no way. I could see your point, but nah, not for me. And it just took time for me to process a lot of these things. And yes, that was one of the underlying beliefs, that I wasn't willing to be rejected. I was afraid of being rejected. That I won't be loved, that people can leave me, that I'm helpless, that I can't handle the failure, or the rejections, that will they love me, that I'm broken, that I need something to fix it myself. All these things playing around. A narrative beneath the actions, beneath the things that they're happening, having me show up in a specific way that I wasn't really myself. Welcome everybody to another episode from Inside Treasures. My name is Phoebus and I love to challenge myself and those around me for the purpose of growth. This podcast is about helping you to heal, to change and grow. In the previous couple of episodes, we talked about beliefs and empowering beliefs. About beliefs, we said that beliefs are made up. It's a thing that we consider as true, that is right for us, and at times partially based on reality, but actually it excludes a big part of reality. We said that beliefs are powerful. Beliefs have emotion, they have energy in motion. They dictate the way that we behave, the way we show up, the things that we say, the things that we do, and how we relate with ourselves and the world. In the last episode, we also talked about empowering beliefs that exist within us all, and how those kind of beliefs can actually be the wind in our sail that keeps pushing us and allowing us to be more ourselves, to be more empowered to do the things that we want to be doing, to operate more from a frame that we feel safe and certain about ourselves, and that whatever is going on in the world, there's that sense that comes from empowering beliefs. And we gave a few examples, but this particular episode is about limiting beliefs. Irrational beliefs is something that prevents us from reaching our goal. It's something that has a reason, but it's not very reasonable, so it's illogical. It has logic, but the logic doesn't make sense. There's no reason behind it. But we see it, it makes sense that 1 + 1 gives us 2. When I believe this and I'm behaving like this makes sense. So it does lead one thing to the other, but actually it is lacking reason, and that's a big part of why we suffer. So it usually tends to impact us in a way that is a self-defeating behavior. It's a way that it limits ourselves. It can bring up what we might call unhealthy emotions. It can bring up intrusive thoughts. And again, as with any thought, and it's a habitual thinking pattern that serves us in one way or another. It might feel irrational, it might feel out there, it might feel that this is not serving us, but usually there's a beneficial factor to the way that we're thinking and to that belief. What happens though when we're taken into perspective is that we get to see that they tend to be more harmful to our well-being rather than to our benefit, so they get to be to our detriment. All of us have irrational and limiting beliefs within us, the same way that we have empowering beliefs in us. We all have them within us. It's just whether we are aware of them and how much they play out and to what degree they play out. That is a big distinction from person to person because it just varies, and it might vary on specific areas of your life. You might have empowering beliefs on a specific area of your life, but then you can have a limiting belief in a different one, which doesn't really apply on the first one. We also have like life scripts and beliefs that are like deeply embedded, core beliefs about ourselves, about the world, that we definitely most of the times have learned through our childhood and growing up. And these are things that need usually a lot more work, a lot more attention. But again, as with everything, we can learn to get better. We can learn to change them. and we can learn to come from a new place instead of being stuck. Oh, this is what happened. This is my limiting belief. What do you expect me to do? It's actually, yes, actually, there is a lot that we can do, a lot that we can try for us to progress and grow as human beings. The limiting beliefs usually kind of hide in the shadows, they lurk behind the scenes. You can't really see them, you can't really hear them, and then all of a sudden they just show up and you're like, where did this come from? Why was I behaving like this? How did that happen? So it is natural that we get triggered. Remember, in the previous episode, we talked about an activating event. So depending on the event, on the situation, it could be simple things, such as like a way someone looks at us. They could create a huge cascade of beliefs showing up and emotions coming out. Many times, limiting beliefs can create a feeling of fear, not necessarily, but they create a threat. And that threat stops us dead in our tracks from being able to do the thing that we want to do. So once again, whether we realize it or not, it's something that runs in the background and dictates the way that we behave and approach life. It affects our mindset, our attitude. And yes, it can have big emotional impact in our perception, in our mental health. It can cause fear, anxiety, depression. Beliefs can do all that. Yes, they are almighty and powerful, but we're even more powerful. In a moment, I'm going to take you through a list of different limiting and irrational beliefs. While I do so, I want you to pay close attention. I want you to tune in and listen to see if any of them hit any chord within you. And if they do, just note that down. Some examples of limiting beliefs are: I'm worthless. Nobody loves me. Nobody likes me. I'm ugly. Everybody likes me. I don't deserve this. I'm not good enough. I need to suffer. It's all my fault. I can't do this. I'm incompetent, basically. I can't handle it. I will fail. It will fail. Who's going to look after me? Will they love me? Who will love me? What's wrong with me? Why me? What's going on? I'm a burden to others. People will judge me. If you notice, you will see that there are a few themes. So it's beliefs about us being helpless, whether that is personally incompetent, vulnerable, or inferior to other people. There is the theme of being unlovable. And that can be a really deep core belief for us. And it can create fear that we're not likable, that we're incapable of being loved and to be in intimacy, or that we're worthless. This is, I feel, something that shows up all the time, again and again, for all of us, I would say, that there is a specific area in our lives that we feel that we don't have the belief that we are significant enough and we're not worthy enough, or if we were to do something, we'll be unworthy, or if when we don't do something, we'll be unworthy, or the way that other people will react will mean that we are unworthy. You see, again, we have this play of meaning taking place behind the scenes. Although we're not consciously aware of it, a lot of times that can get in the way and can create different emotions. There are many different ways and techniques in which we can uncover limiting and irrational beliefs. The thing is, first of all, to set the stage for that, this is not about creating blame and a victim strategy. It's more about empowering ourselves and understanding, again, what is running beneath the surface that is driving this behavior. It's not so we can point the finger and say, oh, this I learned from this person and this, I have been doing it. None of that. It's about noticing the impact, noticing the emotional reaction, noticing the thoughts that get created as a result of holding that belief. You can take one of those beliefs from above, and that it would be one way of you approaching this. So, okay, this belief resonated with me. So, like example, I'm a burden to others. When I think that I'm a burden to others, how do I behave? What kind of thoughts am I having? What's my experience like? What kind of emotions get created? Am I likely to ask for help? How does it make me truly feel about myself? Am I feeling worthy? If I'm a burden to others, I'm not really feeling as worthy. This is a bit rationalizing, getting hold of the belief in a cognitive level. There's also the result of us being able to experience it within that belief, both the positive and the negative, to be able to get into it and be all right in its presence while being aware of the truth. And again, like a good way to see limiting beliefs, one was like we went through the list of beliefs. Another way is just, what is the recurring problem that keeps showing up in my life? What is the same problem that I've been having to deal with on a day-to-day basis? What is the belief behind that? What am I believing about myself? or this other person, or the world, or the situation? What's showing up for you? Because again, it's individual. When we distill them, they kind of all lead to the same place. They are of the same essence, but the way that they get verbalized and the way they get presented in ourselves is different for each one of us. And yes, sometimes they might overlap. And at its core, again, they're essential elements. They, they, they lead to the same road. But how are you experiencing it yourself? Where are you experiencing limitations? Where do you feel that you're experiencing irrational beliefs? Have a look at that within you. Now, for some of you, it might help you to look into your past and try to see what the activating event is. When did this start in my life? Why do I believe this? And I will tell you that this can help you up to a certain point, and having cases that it helps people in the long run. What I have discovered is the more reasons we find why we are where we are, the more we keep doing what we don't need to keep doing. So the point for me is to be able to uncover what's running beneath the surface in order for you to be able to see what's going on, not to judge yourself, not to judge the beliefs, not to judge your rules. Many limiting beliefs come in forms of rules. I should do this. I have to. I can't. I need to. I should always be like this. I need to get this right. And from this, you can see the perfectionistic tendencies that you might have. I need to get it right, because if I don't get it right, I'm not good enough. Again, these are equations our mind creates. They're not necessarily true. There is merit to be taking time to create things. But also, if it's stopping us from creating and it keeps us stuck and we never get to create the thing that we want, then you see how it's creating a limitation. So it also depends on the angle we're looking at things. In the next episode, we'll be covering more about how we can uncover the beliefs and how we can dive deeper into them. But for now, you could also have a look at this and how do I know this is true? How does my mind make sense of this? And a very simple way to do this is, for example, I'm helpless, right? That is the essential belief. It could be more abstract, I feel I can't do this, it's impossible for me. But it's just for this example, I know that I'm helpless because, or I know that nobody loves me because. And then just start writing things down. I want you to go with this. Go with this from the standpoint of realizing that that's what's running. And it might feel true. We said beliefs feel true to us. But also know deep inside you that this is not true. So you don't get dragged down. So you don't get to spiral down. Just do it as an exercise to see what comes out. It's as if you put some commands into your computer and that computer spits out. At first you might say, I know that nobody loves me because there might be nothing there. Then you might get a huge list of things. It can be external, it can be internal, it can be all sorts of things. It's just write them down. And see, these are statements, embedded commands within my system. Knowing that can change where you're standing at. Seeing that, how it plays out. And knowing that when it comes into the future and these things start playing out, whether it's concrete or abstract, it doesn't really matter. But you'll be able to spot it. You'll be able to be more aware of it. You'll be able to understand that it's stories that they play out. And the more that they play out, the more they get empowered. The more they impact us. And that's why we can start slowly disengaging from that view that nobody loves me. Learning to love ourselves more. Actually, I'm not loving myself right now. By speaking to myself that way, by believing these things, I'm not loving myself. Again, it's ways of seeing things. Choosing different perspectives, different angles to look at what's playing out. And most of all, understanding that these are things that change. They change from situation to situation, from minute to minute. Some of these beliefs, like I said earlier, they can be core beliefs. So what might be playing out in many areas of your lives. But know that the other people who've been there and changed their lives, know that other people who have been in a good side and then they've changed to this, this limiting and irrational beliefs. We often see that with depression, for example, and anxiety. We're good in one moment, the next moment, things start to drop down. What happened? What changed? I like to see irrational thoughts as a mathematical equation. I said that earlier because there is a certain logic to it. It might not make sense. A lot of times when I'm working with people, I see it and I've seen it with myself. All of a sudden, a sentence comes up a sentence that fulfills that belief. And seeing it, we can tell like this doesn't make sense, and people don't even want to speak it. It makes sense. Why would I say that? But it's what's running the show. Say it. Don't buy into it. Don't say all the time, oh, this is my belief and that's what I need to do. No, okay. But when the chance comes for you to verbalize it so you can hear that energetic imprint that is playing out within you. Because beliefs have energy. They have gravity. And when this garbage is running in, you get garbage out. You're not going to get anything good out of it. And knowing that it excludes a lot of facts that exist outside of our awareness, in those moments, we're not really connected with the whole truth. But this imprint takes a huge role into how we behave, into how we feel, how we experience ourselves most of all. How do I experience myself? I talk about how we experience the world, but most of all, how do I experience myself within this world? When I shut my eyes and the world starts to fade, when I'm by myself, how do I experience that? What are the things that are running from within me? As my friend Albert Elis said, if something is irrational, that means it won't work. It's usually unrealistic. In conclusion, limiting beliefs or irrational beliefs will always show up in our life. Irrational beliefs are full of emotion, the same way that empowering beliefs are, but they tend to lack reason. And the problem again is the impact that they create. A belief as a belief is always a belief. It's just a coin with two sides. We tend to judge it as positive and negative. But it's like, what is the detriment? It's the same thing with habits. If I have a habit, I can see whether this is helping me. So I might be working out. You see, again, what we talked about in previous times, the extreme. If I'm working out every single day and I'm 100% every single day, that is to my detriment. I've started to being addicted to this good habit. If I never get, out of the sofa because this is nice, it's the same thing as being stuck in an irrational belief. Many times these beliefs can be stemming from childhood and experiences that we have had in our life. And remember, this is the meaning that we've created at some point in time. It had a lot of emotion. Usually it has a lot of emotion around it. And right now, the way it shows up is an automatic response. It comes up, we execute. It comes up, we execute is what we say in hypnosis. It's a post-hypnotic suggestion. Once, the bell rings with Pavlov, as you've known, like the dog starts salivating. It just happens. Something triggers us, we just respond in that way. But there is a reason behind this, and we can process those emotions, we can process those thoughts, and we can start freeing ourselves. And seeing that irrational beliefs usually have an ulterior motive behind them. There's something that we're trying to get. There is something that we're getting, despite it being causing us pain. Sometimes it's love, sometimes it's safety, sometimes it's certainty. The different things. Look back into the episode of our needs, our human needs. There are a few of them again. Look into them, because beliefs, they tie in really closely to that. We're trying to fulfill our needs. It's not that we're doing these things because we really like it, but there is a reason behind it. So on one level, they work for us, And like one belief that really plays out many times is that of I'm defective. I told you earlier this is a theme, that I'm broken. This is a self-development, personal development trap as well. That I need to become someone else, that I need to be someone better until when that happens, then I be loved, then I be worthy, then I be good enough. Well, guess what? That day never comes. And again, it's moving a bit past the beliefs and seeing into our core who we truly are. Understanding that belief, playing with that belief, knowing also that we'll never be perfect. That's the other extreme. Oh, I'm always perfect. Everything's going to be fine. No. It's finding that balance and avoiding creating that judgment when we see those beliefs. Starting to practice self-love, self-acceptance. Sometimes we have to be firm. Enough with this nonsense that I'm not good enough. Enough. This has nothing to do with me. So by allowing those thoughts and emotions to pass through, observing them, witnessing being there and seeing them for what they are, we can slowly begin to change them. Again, awareness can just turn the page, because all of a sudden what was playing out, we can finally see it. Uncovering a limiting belief is not a reason to keep acting out on that belief. It's definitely the first step to change. In the next episode, we'll dive deeper into uncovering and overcoming limiting beliefs and how we can change the negative into the positive. And that is a common language. It's not my favorite, but it makes it very simplistic. I'm here to help you heal, change, and grow. If there's something that resonated with you, something that you need help with, perhaps with beliefs, give me a shout at podcast@insidetreasures.com or reach out to me on Instagram @insidetreasures, and of course my website www.insidetreasures.com. If you found any of these messages useful and insightful, and you think someone could benefit from that, a loved one, a friend, share the messages and wisdom to them and allow that wisdom to spread to those around you, because you never truly know how that will impact them. Thank you for tuning in to another episode from Inside Treasures. My name is Phoebus, and until next time, my friends, let peace guide your life, let love guide your heart, and reason guide your thoughts.